Hello, everybody. The Army of Light, Earth Division, the boots on the ground. It's Shawna L. Francis, and today is October 23rd, 2024. Welcome, everybody. This is part 2 of the conversation that we started earlier today, about 23 and a half hours ago at 1 a.m. this morning. Part 1, where we talked about the 7 seals and the 4 horses, and we ended with the pale horse, the final horse. I am a conscious embodied channel with Melchizedek, the Order of Melchizedek. They are an ancient priesthood who say they have written the book of Revelation, and we are here channeling Melchizedek, who are now bringing us information about Revelation, about Genesis, about the Bible for today's audience, clarifying a few things. What's really cool about today's channeling is that they're talking about the next 100 years and what we can expect. And spoiler alert, it's not getting much better here anytime soon. Okay, so a lot of what we're seeing now is going to continue into the future. Melchizedek has some things to say about that, and also some information and some tips for us as light workers as we maneuver these times. Okay, so if you remember from the very last video, I said that was part 1. We didn't quite get to all the channeling for the 4 horses and the 7 seals. We're looking at chapter 6 of Revelation, and this is verse 7, the 4th seal. And let me read this very quickly here. When he opened the 4th seal, I heard the voice of the 4th living creature say, "Come." And I saw, and behold, a pale horse. And its rider's name was Death, and Hades followed him. And they were given power over a fourth of the earth to kill with sword, and with famine, and with pestilence, and by wild beasts of the earth. Pale horse, again, nondescript. It's a color that fades into the background. This is really us being asleep, not awake. And this was also something that was talked about in the video from yesterday. All right, and Melchizedek continues on what they were saying. Before I get into the channeling, though, thanks everybody who signed up for tomorrow's live Q&A event with Melchizedek. So I think we've got about 35 people so far who are planning to join, which is great. Can we get it up to 50? If you're waiting till the last minute, it's now the last minute. So get onto Eventbrite and sign up, and you can donate whatever you'd like to attend. And I'll put that link in the description below. So thank you to everybody for your extremely generous donations. Thanks to all who have emailed their questions ahead of time. This is going to be amazing. These questions are pretty incredible. Can't wait to hear what Melchizedek has to say. All right, tomorrow, 4 p.m. Pacific. I hope to see you there. Here's Melchizedek. It's plain to see that today, famine and disease are rampant, and these things seem to only get worse with time and not better. Famine around the world, the silent killer. You don't hear much about those who are starving to death, but it is happening every day, dear ones, every day. As resources are hoarded, and the scarcity mindset becomes even more ingrained, this problem will continue to escalate. It is a travesty, dear ones. War on the planet. You might think, well, surely we are evolving as a species. Surely we will not need to resort to physical combat and violence in order to solve disputes. But we are here to tell you, dear friends, that this is exactly what is going to be happening. This will continue into your future. And again, they're talking about the next 100 years. Humanity, they said, is not quite ready to give this up. It'll be some time before this changes. In the meantime, weapons will become more powerful and more destructive and more stealth. Warfare as you know it is changing rapidly. Technology is allowing those who design and develop your weaponry to take the brutality and the effectiveness to new levels. And this will be in your lifetimes, dear ones. I haven't seen a whole lot, but I do understand that they're using AI quite a bit in a whole new slew of weaponry. AI, imagine the technology changing with AI. All right, and they continue here. Dear ones, your tasks here are monumental. Many of you, after serving the light in this lifetime, will indeed decide to come back and experience that of which we foretell. And you may find that holding the light in the depths of such adversity will be even more challenging than what you face today. We're in the phase of awareness, dear friends, and over the next 100 years, this awareness will propagate and it will take hold, and it truly does signify the end of the age of innocence here, the glorious yet short-sighted innocence that allows some measure of comfort and predictability, even if that comfort and predictability are based mostly in illusion. All right, just to recap what they're saying here. What we're doing is monumental. Many of us who are understanding this content, who have access to these messages, are going to decide to come back and keep on the path here. We're going to get through this lifetime, and then we're going to reincarnate, and we're going to continue on this ascension pathway. So they're saying many of you will be experiencing what's coming next, many of us. And they're saying, if you think it's hard now, just wait, it's going to continue to be rough. The end of the age of innocence, and we've talked about this just kind of more in private conversations, Melchizedek really lamenting the end of the age of innocence. And they talked about this with us starting this Bible series three months ago, that this, for them, it's a big deal. This is a marker that's really showing, okay, now we're really kind of removing the masks. We are really seeding consciousness here in big ways with this information. All right, and then they continue here. We don't mean to raise false alarms and cause you more fear. As your guides and as your shepherds through this process, we will be here. The order of Melchizedek will see this process through, and we mean to keep you as informed as is necessary, plausible and helpful, knowing that much will be happening beyond this lifetime that you're experiencing now. Dear ones, begin to think of yourselves beyond the human form that you've taken for this go-around, beyond the karmic battles, beyond the ups and downs, the highs and lows, your trials, your successes, your dreams, your heartbreak. We invite you to elevate your consciousness to be engaging with Christ consciousness, unity consciousness, the higher selves that many of you long to be. Not only will this help you with the day-to-day goings-on in your lives, but it will help expand consciousness far beyond you. And this is how a planet is made new. The individual, each of you, dear friends, choosing this. All right, so again, they're asking us to think beyond our human forms. Really, this is building upon what they've always been talking about. We are infinite souls of love and light, having a temporary human experience. And we come here with a set of karmic balancing that we'd like to do, some experiences we'd like to have, and some lessons that we want to learn. And for those of us who have chosen this ascension pathway, there's a whole extra list of things that we're trying to get done in terms of awakening, awareness, consciousness, disclosure, walking the path of light, being beacons of light down here. All right, begin to think beyond our human forms and really know ourselves as these beacons of light. All right. You may be asking, please tell me, how do I do this? Please help me understand this. not conceptually, but in practical terms. First, we say, dare to give it a try. Dare to be different. Dare to put the books aside. Put the teachings aside. Put the videos aside and make this a part of your everyday world. You have the awareness. You get the concept. Now it's putting it into action. And they said here, start first with your beliefs, dear ones, your thoughts. Be conscious of your thoughts. Be conscious of your beliefs. What is in alignment with the heart? What feels light? What feels loving? What feels authentically true and what doesn't? Begin here, dear ones, and feel the shift. From there, build upon it. All right. A lot of our beliefs and our thoughts are so subconscious and so not part of our conscious awareness. And we just let these things help us make choices in our world that no longer serve us. Old beliefs, old stagnant energy. Be aware of what you're thinking and what you're believing. All right. They continue here. Become conscious of what you do unconsciously out of habit, routine, or ease. Notice the patterns and where you're feeling stuck the most. Be aware of where you are placing your focus. Is it in the future? Or is it in the past? Or both in equal measure? How often are you being present in the moment, focused with whatever you're doing at any given time? Notice the wounding or trauma that you hold on to almost like a lifeline, because it's how you've always known yourself, or at least for a very long time. Strip that away. Decide to focus on something new and watch what happens to the ego. Where you are going, those of you on this ascension pathway, is new territory for many of you in this incarnation. There will be many reasons that you can find to be on the sidelines instead of truly walking this path. Humanity needs a new template. Humanity needs new options. This is where being different becomes so very important. Instead of seeing this as a burden, see it as an opportunity. As we've said before, it does get easier with practice, and much of what you learn here, much of what you embody in terms of consciousness, will remain with you in other incarnations. Nothing is ever lost. They said, we thank this dear one here for her patience and her dedication as we work through this teaching, and we sincerely thank all of you for your presence and your willingness. All right, and that's where they stopped that today. All right, I had no idea that they would start going into kind of some of this more guidance on how we are, really to be walking this path. I thought that was a really nice addition to the teachings with the book of Revelation today. And I love how they are giving us, tangible, practical things that we can be doing. How do we operate from the upper room through their books with Paul Selig, which are excellent, by the way. I highly recommend each and every one of them. I believe there's 12 of them. They talk about the upper room a lot. The small self down here operating at the level of ego versus the higher self, the larger self operating in the upper realms, the upper room. They're talking about really, embodying Christ consciousness. And again, we're moving out of the concept phase here with this information and into the more practical application of this information. So that's a whole different deal, isn't it? There's so many of us who are kind of stuck between two worlds. We've got the 3D side of ourselves, the ego-driven side of ourselves that has really gotten us to this point in our lives. And then we've got the 5D higher consciousness, the love-based consciousness, the unity consciousness, Christ consciousness. And these things are often kind of at odds with each other, even in, in any given moment or any given hour of our lives. We are fighting kind of between these two things. It's kind of like the head and the mind and the analytical and the fear-based part of us versus the heart, the love, the knowing, the authentic truth of who and what we really are. These things are, we are needing to live in balance with all these aspects of ourselves that are present. And this can be really tough, really challenging. And a lot of the one-on-one sessions I do are based on just this such thing, just living in these two worlds at the same time. Hopefully, as we evolve and as we kind of get used to this idea and really begin to walk this walk and talk this talk, the 3D fear-based, ego-based part of us is going to shrink, while the loving, more open parts of us will begin to expand. But I think it'd be extremely difficult for us to have no ego here and really not have any aspect that's really operating and living in the 3D. We really need this still. But here's where we're at. Conscious awareness of what we need to do, where we need to start, how we need to do this. Again, be conscious of your beliefs and your thoughts. So much of this is unconscious. How do these thoughts feel? Bring them to the surface, team. Become conscious of what you do out of habit or routine or ease. Notice the patterns and where you're feeling the most stuck. Where is your focus? Is it in the past? Is it in the future? Let's try to be as focused as much in the present moment as we possibly can. This takes practice. It takes focus. It takes energy. All right. They're saying strip that all away and see what happens to the ego. The ego might freak out a little bit and might actually panic, but that's okay. You've got the heart here to console the ego, and we're all moving forward together. Don't see it as a burden, but an opportunity, they said. It gets easier with practice. Yes. I'll tell you, when I first started this whole process, it's been over 6 years now. I can't believe where the time has gone. I had no idea what my heart wanted. It never had a voice. It never really had a big place in my world. Of course, I love my family, love my kids, loved my husband at the time. There was all of that, but there's something different about relating to love in a whole different way that's beyond this, like, I'm going to love this other person because they're my child or they're my partner. It's like this unconditional love for self, this expanded love that feels so good to just be, acting from this place of love all the time. So it's a different kind of love. And it's tapping into this thing. It's kind of feels much bigger than us. It feels much bigger than even what we kind of have access to in our normal everyday lives. And I'd say this is where meditation can really come into play. Stepping out of the crazy, the chaos, the dysfunction, the rigmarole, all the things that we do that keep us really busy and tied up, stepping out of that and into this place that is more of the heart, of love, connected to source, connected to the truth of who and what we are, connected to our self-love authentically, and knowing that this is where everything starts, with our self-love. All right, so I guess that's it for me for tonight. I am tired once again. I'm really looking forward to tomorrow's live Q&A with Melchizedek. Again, I'd love to see your beautiful shining faces there on Zoom. All right, team, I love you, and we'll see you tomorrow if you can make it. Otherwise, I'll see you next week. Mwah.